It's that time, folks. It's time for your board game dessert. It's time for Game Pie. Game Pie is when Mandy and I serve up a selection of games based on our whims and our excellent taste because we hate ranking things, like a lot hate ranking things, but we a lot love desserts and baked goods. Hence, a game pie. And the pie of today is a blast from the past pie. We're going back a decade and looking at our favorite games from 2015.
Mm.
Which doesn't sound that long ago, but also feels like forever ago. I don't know. But then I look at the games and they don't feel like they're 10 years old. I don't
So
know,
true.
Mandy.
I
But
know.
that said,
Yes.
when we picked this and then we started looking at the games from 2015, and holy heck a heck, 2015, what a year for game releases.
That's strong. Strong year.
So are we gonna do a part 1, part 2? Because honestly, it was almost impossible for me to narrow this down to just 1 pie's worth.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean,
Okay.
there may be multiple parts. We'll see how it goes, but yes,
Yeah.
definitely will be more than this.
Best games of 2015, the 17-part game pie.
Why not?
I mean, if the games are good enough. All right.
Fair
Well,
point, fair
then there
point.
we go. Part 1 of our favorite games from 2015.
All right, well, my first slice of favorite games from 2015 Game Pie is a big one. I like a big slice first, and that is Food Chain Magnate. Now, this game is not one that I get to the table often. Lucky if I get to the table once a year. But when I do, it is so good. I mean, I love the kind of theming, and I know they've changed the art since the version that I have, which is more of that kind of like retro 60s kind of vibe. But I'm all about, the delivering and the advertisement, making sure that, your place where you're selling your foods and drinks and pies is amazing and better than everyone else's. It is an unforgiving splotter, but gosh darn, it's good. Food Chain Magnate.
Excellent, excellent choice. I never make the supply and demand rules work, but I love working the employee chain.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, first slice up for me, Above and Below from Red Raven Games. And Above and Below is a resource management game in many ways, but with a strong narrative element. And
Mhm.
this was really the first game from Red Raven that started an entire series or family of games with storybooks and arcing branching narratives and really just gorgeous games to play throughout. But Above and Below was the first. Can't believe it's 10 years old. It has one of my favorite resource management mechanisms that we actually mentioned in a previous podcast that River Valley Glassworks use, where the value of a given resource you determine by the order that you're putting them into your resource management board. Oh,
Right.
love that mechanism. Love the art, love the story, love what it started. Above and Below.
Oh, yeah, good choice. I haven't played that game in a long time.
Mhm.
Next on my list, well, another heavy slice of pie here, and that is the Gallerist. Now, it is a Lacerda, so we know it is a heavy, crunchy game, but it's about art, selling art, acquiring art, making that artist popular to drive the cost up of their art. I mean, you get a profit, so why not? This is probably well, no, this would be my favorite of the Lacerdas, and
Ooh.
there have been arguments that this is probably one of the more challenging ones, but I feel because the theme is so strong, I find it easier than some of the others. Well, I could be alone on that one, but the Gallerist for me is a strong one and one that I actually get to play a little more often than some of the others. So the Gallerist.
Excellent, excellent choice. Next slice up for me from 2015, Stockpile. Stockpile is a very straightforward stock market game. And I generally enjoy stock market games, but they
Mm.
can sometimes feel a little dry. 18xx games have a very strong stock element to them, etc. But Stockpile does a phenomenal job of making a stock market game fit into that kind of 60-minute gameplay window. It feels approachable. It's got a great aesthetic just to make it feel like it's got a little extra life into it. And at its heart, it is a pretty pure stock game, which I really enjoy how you're manipulating the market and managing the stocks you have. It works beautifully, highly recommended. Even today, like 10 years later, I mean, I'm looking at these games on our list, Mandy. 10
Yeah,
years later,
it's wild.
I can recommend anybody add these to their collection.
Yeah. Stockpile is one I haven't played that game in a long I don't own it, but I have friends who own it, and we haven't played it in a long time, but I remember really enjoying it when it came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Isn't there an app too?
Yeah, there was the I don't know, I assume it's still active. I haven't played the app version in a while, but they did come out with a
Okay.
pretty solid app version too.
Yeah, I remember that. The next slice of pie for me is Grand Austria Hotel. Now, there's a history here for me. I had the original one, then I was like, "Oh, I gotta pair the collection," so I sold it, and then I was like, "Why did I sell this game? Like, I like it so much." I was listening to one of my friends, and I'm like, "No, I shouldn't have sold it." So I ended up rebuying this game in the, like, deluxe version with the expansions, and it now resides on the shelf. It's not going anywhere. Grand Austria Hotel. I really enjoyed this one.
The fancy version too. I mean, with
Yes,
all
ooh
the
la la.
pastries and good stuff, you gotta have it. All right, next up for me is Holmes, Sherlock, and Mycroft. Mycroft. This is I remember discovering this game, not discovering it, but, the first time I got to play it at a convention,
Yeah,
and it completely enchanted me from the get-go. I bought my copy at the convention instantly. I carried it with me everywhere. I taught it to anybody who would sit down with me. I loved it that much. I'm pretty sure I helped sell a few more copies of it at that show because everybody I taught it to loved it. Holmes, Sherlock, and Mycroft, oftentimes you get deduction or things like that. Well, in
right.
this one, it's really worker placement. And, your resources are clues that you're gaining, but you've got all of your informants or suspects that you're getting to question. There's a clever little worker placement mechanism, but it is two-player only and just so finely balanced and tuned for those two players. It is a wonderful worker placement game and a really great two-player game. That is Holmes, Sherlock, and Mycroft.
Always a hit. Now, the Sherlock themes were really strong. I feel like there were a lot that came out around that time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, good choice. Well, my last slice of
I can't
pie.
believe you beat me to this. I think I'm mad at you?
I'm sorry. It was okay. And the reason why this made my list, my last slice of pie for this list, because we are going to do a part two, is Qwinto. And the reason why is like, well, what about me? It's because it's a roll and write. And all the hearts for this one. And Carol, one of my good friends here, we played this game. I remember she came over. She lives in Toronto. She came to my place and we played this game for like hours. And I'm like, "You want to play again?" She's like, "You want to play again?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's just keep playing." We just kept playing this game, and it's just so fun. It's not complicated, but maybe that's why we liked it. It was just straight to the point, challenging, but easy. So, like, easy rules, easy to kind of pick up.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
so it's a nice roll and write. If you don't have it, haven't tried it, I highly recommend getting it. Small box so you can carry it with you. So Quinto for me, really good. And actually, I haven't played that for a while. I feel like I should pull that out again.
I love it. It's such a great choice. I the To your point, very straightforward game. We'll get a group of players around it, and there's a dice mechanism where you select what dice you're gonna be rolling,
Right.
and sometimes we get going and we get so excited, we're, like, pounding the table going, "Roll them all, roll them all, roll them all." It's for such a small it's so good.
That's
Good
wild.
choice, Mandy. Alright, talk about our, game that gets the antagonism going, and one of my all-time favorite games, and Mandy, I know you love this one too.
Mhm.
2015 is the year that brought us the prettiest, nastiest game ever,
Yes.
Arboretum.
Oh boy.
Arboretum is ostensibly about, like, I don't know, something about building your arboretum, your forest with your garden of trees, beautifully illustrated, lovely little card game, simple little box, originally published by Z-Man and then Renegade republished it. Um, Dang, this game is I mean, you can play it simply, but there is some cutthroat elements to this. It's such a simple game. You're drawing cards, you're drafting cards, you're playing them out into a grid, but it is tough. And I love that simple complexity that it brings. It's deep, it has some nastiness to it, and it's about trees. Never let anybody tell you a cozy theme means a gentle, relaxing game because Arboretum is always the proof that's not true. Great,
Absolutely.
great card game.
One of my worst scoring games ever.
I mean, I bet I would be right there with you. All right. Well, that is a first serving of some of our favorite games from 2015, a decade ago.
Mm.
10 years. 10 years. Oh my gosh, my kids were like in kindergarten. Oh, wow. Wow. Anyway, but it was so hard to choose. We're gonna do at least a part 2 coming
Absolutely.
up, folks. That means you have an opportunity to chime in. And actually, Mandy, let's do this on the Board Game Geek Guild.
Mhm.
I'll get the thread going. Chime in with some of your favorites, and we can do like a listener, part 2, and talk about who what you liked as well, whether it's one we've already mentioned or something we haven't. Chime in there. You can always email us. Sometimes people don't want to put their opinions in public on the
Sure.
internet. Totally get that. You can always email us at Salt and Sass Games with game pie suggestions, with your favorite games from 2015, anything else you want to know. Or you can chime in on that geek thread on boardgamegeek.com. We are Guild 4131, or you can just search for Salt and Sass on the site. Or a lot of y'all prefer reaching out to us on social media. I love social media. Great idea.
Yeah, so we are on the socials. Well, actually, you could be watching us right now on one of our other platforms. So it could be on the YouTube or on the Twitch at Salt and Sass Games. That's Salt and Sass Games. Or hey, you might find us on the other socials, and that would be Blue Sky. And we are at Salt and Sass. That is Salt and Sass. You can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, all the things at 613 Mandy. That's Mandy with an I. How about you, Suzanne?
And you can find me on Blue Sky. I am 425 Suzanne. We'll be back next week with a bunch more games that we've been playing and more games from 2015 to share
Mm.
with you that we think you should check out. But until then, take care of yourselves and all of your loved ones. Stay hydrated and play a lot of games. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.